Welcome back to Showmakers. I'm Ed Barker from Studio 1878. We're a business that helps brands create podcasts that I hope is more than the background noise you might be able to hear today. This is the final video in my 5-part mini-series on storytelling. So far, I've talked about why storytelling works as a concept, the shapes you can use, what to listen for while you're recording, and how to shape it all in the edit and post-production. Today, I want to finish on perhaps the most important piece of all of this, how you can make this a habit. Because it's one thing to know what a good story looks like, it's another thing to build that process that delivers consistently for you and your team. And here's why I think this matters. If you don't intentionally design for storytelling, your show is going to slip back into a list of talking points. It really does happen to everyone, and the episodes will end up feeling safe and flat, and maybe even forgettable. The way you fight back is by baking storytelling into every stage of your process. That goes from the planning and the preparation to the post-production part. It's the part of the DNA that it stops becoming something you occasionally remember to do and starts becoming the default way you build your podcast. Your first step starts with your story preparation. Every episode should begin with that one key question: what is the story we're telling today? And if it's an interview, don't just think about the guest title or their expertise. It's not about the authority. Ask yourself, what's their journey? What's the challenge? What's the turning point? Where's the resolution? It's the same idea for solo episodes. Don't outline the 5 tips, outline the story behind why those tips matter. Was there a moment where you got it totally wrong? A moment you had to learn the hard way? That's your hook. If it's a panel or roundtable, think about what tension we can surface in the discussion. Was there a shared challenge or a moment where different viewpoints collide? When you go into a recording with that story frame in mind, you'll naturally guide the conversation to something that's more compelling. Next, you need to train yourself to spot the story in the moment. We covered this on an earlier video, but it's worth repeating. Good hosts and producers develop their story radar, if you like. They can hear the shift in someone's voice. They can sense when the stakes just went up. They notice the small details that make the abstract concept concrete. This really isn't about being pushy either. It's about being curious and asking the right questions. And the more you do it, the sharper your instincts will get for this. Then bake storytelling into your edit. When you hand the tape off, whether you're editing yourself or you're giving it to someone else, more likely, storytelling should be the lens that you're going to use. You're not cleaning up the audio, not trimming for time. You're asking, where's the arc? Where's the tension? And where's that payoff? And here's the thing, once you've built that habit into your edits, it starts influencing how you record as well. You'll start asking yourself better questions because you already know what you'll need in your edit later. You can also make storytelling part of your culture, whether it's in your team or your company or your production studio. You want to get them all on board. And when you're prepping guests, tell them you're not just looking for answers, you're looking for their stories. When you're briefing hosts, remind them to look for the turning points, not just the bullet points. When you're promoting the podcast, highlight the key parts of your story in your clips. The more people around use that language, the more natural it's going to become. And finally on this video, I want you to review your old work. Go listen to episodes or your videos and think about your storytelling lens. Does it have an arc? Did it have stakes? Did it have a moment of change or tension? When you're reviewing that old back catalogue, you'll start seeing those patterns. Maybe you always rush past the stakes. Maybe you cut too much of the silence. Maybe you don't push enough on the emotional side of your guest's journey. All of this will help you improve the next episode you record. And one final thought here. Storytelling really is muscle. This isn't something you just get once and then you're done. It's something you have to practice and refine and then repeat. And when you do, I promise you that your storytelling and the way you prep and record and promote your show will be completely transformational. It stops being just another branded podcast and it starts to become something people might actually look forward to. And in a world where there are millions of shows competing for attention, that's going to be the difference between being remembered and being skipped past. And before we end this episode, let's do a little recap of everything we've built together over the last few videos. You now know how and why storytelling works, why it's not just fluff, but an actual strategy. You've got a set of story shapes you can use to develop your podcast episodes. And you know what to listen for while you're recording, the signals that tell you that a story is breaking through. You've also learned how to shape your story in the edit, how to find the real spine, how to bring clarity and not just cut. And now you've got a framework for making storytelling a habit. It's baked into your prep and your recording and your edit and your culture. And you'll put this into practice, you're going to rise above the sea of content and actually connect with people. I'd love to hear from you about whether you've put these ideas into practice and whether it's made an impact on your shows. And that wraps up my 5-part storytelling series. If you want help building storytelling into your podcasts or your videos, your corporate media, whether that's training your team or shaping your edits or your production end to end, get in touch with me, hello@1878.studio. I'm Ed Barker. This is the Showmakers series. Thanks for sticking with me. Bye now.